Hey guys, I'm struggling with MaMiya Mondays. So the compromise I've come with our business partners is that I'm changing it to MaMiya Moments, and it's not going to be live, so that perhaps maybe we can get the energy going. I mean, it's always so hard as an artist to work with people that color inside the box, because this moment always comes, where I'm like, oh, I don't know how to color inside the box. How can we work around that? So, what I wanted to talk about was the Bela bill, right? And I remember the day that the president was signing it, and then there were those clauses that he said he was going to revisit and think about. And obviously, those are the clauses that are the issue of contention, and those are the issues that will give you a very vivid idea of what's going on in South Africa. So the one rule that they are tripping about is that the white people don't want government to have control over the rules in the school. So basically, they want to be a law unto themselves, right? And the danger with that is that we've seen how white arrogance can just completely erase and disregard indigenous languages, indigenous people. So, I mean, I think that a lot of our problems as a nation are coming from the fact that in the past 30 years, there was an active erasure of our history and how we got to where we are. And where we are is that we have a very small minority who are controlling the resources. And then there's a suffering majority. And how that came about, we all know, is from colonialism, from systems like Apartheid that legalized the oppression of black people and legalized for white people to steal land, and legalized for white people to use state resources to build themselves at the expense of black people. So this whole history has been erased, and it's scary because AMA 2000 are like so naive and just going with the flow, but the poverty in our country is engineered, In fact, guys, food, because poverty is about what we have to eat, right? So food comes from the ground. So our minds have been so fucked with that we don't know that a seed expands and multiplies and feeds. So, that's why the issue of the land is so important. And there's an episode on MOYA coming up on the land and farming. So please look out for that. But I want to get back to the Bela bill, because I'm going around these issues because we as South Africans, we got here to these inequalities through the use of the system, right? And it might also be fascinating to note, I know I'm starting another topic now, how confidently Helen Zilla and them speak about how the rand reacts. So it suggests that there is a manipulation of the rand, and it is controlled by the people who own the resources. And those resources are owned by those people because of apartheid. So there's never been anything that was done to reverse what happened to black people during apartheid. So the poor education system, teaching blacks how to be slaves. There was never a moment where we now focused on creating state-of-the-art schools, using state funds and ensuring that the schools in townships, in the villages, are brought to the same level as private schools, actually. Because these schools, Model Cs or private schools, some of them have used state funds to be built. You know, when they first started out, they benefited from being white, and so there was a pot for them to take from, and there was never a pot for black people. So now the white people, through these resources that are stolen, they build these schools, you know, these fantastic schools. They get this land that they came with from Europe and miraculously build these things, right? So they use the resources of the indigenous people, essentially, because, right, that's what we're fighting about when we say put South Africa first, right? It's about the indigenous people always being put first and making sure that they're covered, and then after that, then we can share with others. So sorry, so I'm getting distracted there. So they build these schools, right? And in these schools, then they have their own rules that they create, right? And these rules include dehumanizing black people, like not allowing black people to come to school in their natural hair, or, you know, just like things where white people can just be like, I don't like what this looks like. I don't like what you look like. Oh no, why do you look like, no, you must look like us, you know? You must sound like us. So they start creating these rules that completely dehumanize the black child, even though the black child is the majority. So not only have they used state resources to build themselves, like they say, and build these schools that they built, but now in these schools, they start behaving in racist fashions, you know? And it's so ironic, and I've brought this up before, where I said, like, guys, so often you say that when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans, but it's so weird because when you're in Africa, then you feel as if the way of the Africans it's too low for you, or what? Like, what is it? So anyways, they make these schools where they make it compulsory, mind you, to learn English or Afrikaans. So every school in the land, it's written in the laws that they have to learn English or Afrikaans. So now, what about in this Bela bill? We make it compulsory for an indigenous language. And Afrikaans and English are not indigenous languages. Afrikaans, you Dutch people just made it up. It's a funny law of a Dutch dialect. So please, let's stop fooling each other. It's not an indigenous language. It's a king vernacular. It's a slang. It's like Zotital. It's not like. So in this Bela bill, we need to have a conversation about making indigenous languages compulsory, because the majority of the people of this land are black people. And if you can't speak in isiZulu or Sesotho at least, it means that there's a whole section of society that you don't know what the hell's potting. And that section of society is actually quite big. The section of society that speaks English is actually quite small. So, in all these wars, where the whites want to control what happens in the schools, and we know they want to control so that they can further abuse the black child. So, as black people, can we just for a while, because you saw them get together today at union buildings, right? You saw them gather themselves. And what's so weird is that we didn't even see a word about it on social media or whatever. The white people have got a network and they gathered themselves, and when it was time to be collectively racist, they did that, right? So, not only, I think, do I just want to talk about what in the white arrogance is going on in South Africa. Like, this Bela bill issue, it's just another way that white people want to be exceptional, want to be different, want to be treated with kid gloves, want to be VIP. But you know what, guys? White people came to Africa. And it's time that we normalize African things, right? So we actually need a government that's going to reverse all of this stuff. So I don't know. I just wanted to get the Bela bill off my chest, because I'm just like, excuse me, what in the racist is going on? And have you not done enough? So now that you've benefited from ill-gotten gains, you feel entitled to more. Like, when are we going to have the conversation about Abelung, guys? And when are we going to have answers and solutions? You know, when you go to other countries to become a citizen of that country, there are all these tests that you go through and laws, and you really get put through things, you know, where you have to learn things. Why did white people never have to do that here? Why did they not have to learn the cultural ways of here? Because right now we're dealing with an arrogance of a people who want to tell us how to be in our own home. So I just wanted to address that Bela bill issue, because I'm just like, what in the racist is going on? And you as white people, white South Africans, like, your ingratitude surpasses my imagination. Like, I'm just like, wow, what in the white arrogance are we going through with this Bela bill?